Good evening, everyone, and welcome to PNN, America's most popular physics news network. Today is February 1st, 1976. My name is Jacob Davis.
And my name is Caroline Goggans, and we have a very interesting physicist to review for you on this fine Sunday. Today we are going to be talking about the life of Werner Karl Heisenberg. Heisenberg was born December 5th, 1901 in Würzburg, Germany, to Dr. August Heisenberg and his wife Annie Wecklund as their second child. Their first child, Erwin, was born just a year before and would later go on to become a chemist. Heisenberg, even from a very young age, displayed outstanding performances in both mathematics and science. In Heisenberg's own words, of those early days at the gymnasium, I recall that both my interests in languages and mathematics were awakened rather early. It was said that Werner and his older brother had a very competitive relationship, and their father thinks that this is probably why Werner was above and beyond his classmates in school. Eventually, Heisenberg graduated top of his class and then attended the University of Munich, the same college at which his father taught at.
While in high school, Heisenberg never failed to impress his teachers, with them never having anything negative to say, praising him for his giftedness. The high school Heisenberg attended was called a gymnasium. The gymnasium was an all-boys school with all male teachers. Heisenberg's school focused mainly on Greek and Latin studies, and although these were not his best subjects, that didn't mean he didn't receive the highest marks possible in these classes. Weirdly enough, the classes he was best at were the ones his school didn't care much for. These include mathematics, physics, and religion. His worst subjects were German, funny enough, athletics.
Cars, airplanes, telephones, and radio were all things that were evolving around the time Heisenberg was growing up. Perhaps this is why Heisenberg was so focused more on math and physics than language and literature, which were things his school emphasized. Christoph Wolff was one of Heisenberg's math and science teachers. He recognized Heisenberg's potential and knew that he could go above and beyond, so he started giving him extra problems, and before he knew it, he had advanced even beyond Wolff himself.
Heisenberg, like many well-known physicists, taught himself many things. One time, a friend of the family needed a calculus tutor for a final exam, so Heisenberg taught himself so he could help her. He also studied Einstein's theory of relativity for fun, solved the equations for projectile motion, including air resistance, and a demonstration in front of an examiner. With all his interest in math and science, his father began worrying that he wasn't focused enough on his Latin studies. He brought Heisenberg to old mad treatises written in Latin so he could work on both. After reading some of it, Heisenberg tried to prove Fermat's last theorem, which stated that x to any number plus y to any number equals z to any number, has no non-zero integer solutions for x, y, and z when the n is greater than 2. But his attempt was unsuccessful. However, this did not discourage him from studying mathematics in college.
Another big part of Heisenberg's life happened because of the outbreak of war. During World War I, Heisenberg and his friends were in a military training unit. A small group of this unit decided to come together and create what they called the New Boy Scouts, and they elected Heisenberg as the leader of this group. Eventually, Hitler banned all independent youth groups, but up until that point, Heisenberg spent most of his extra time with the Boy Scouts, and they partook in activities such as hiking, camping, skiing, and mountain climbing. The Boy Scouts met on a weekly basis and had very strict rules that they had to stick to, such as no drinking or smoking. In fact, his first 3 years of college, Heisenberg spent half of his time studying and half of his time with his boys. Boy Scouts taught Heisenberg discipline and problem-solving skills that contributed to his works in mathematics and science.
Heisenberg started college in fall of 1920 with the intentions of studying math, but was eventually discouraged by one of the professors, so he decided to take up physics. The physics professor, Arnold Sommerfeld, saw potential in Heisenberg, so he put him in his advanced seminar, where Heisenberg made contributions to the old quantum theory of the atom. Whereas in most universities, you enter as a freshman and study general classes for the first 2 years, where you would then get into classes more based on your major. Heisenberg entered college as a junior, so he went straight to the hard stuff. Whereas it took some people up to 9 years to earn their doctorate degree, Heisenberg earned it in just 3. At the ripe age of 25, he was appointed professor of theoretical physics as Germany's youngest professor. In the years leading up to earning his doctorate, Heisenberg studied under 3 of the world's greatest atomic theorists. Arnold Sommerfeld, Max Born, and Niels Bohr. He also became good friends with another intelligent physicist, Wolfgang Pauli. During this time, while Sonnenberg was away from his university during the years of 1922 and 1923, Heisenberg studied under Max Born and also served as his assistant. In 1924, he completed all the qualifications required for him to teach in the college setting. After this, he moved to Denmark, where Niels Bohr's Institute was located. The following year was when he made a breakthrough in the quantum mechanics. As this concept grew, Heisenberg started looking for universities he could lecture on this at. In 1926, he became Niels Bohr's assistant, which gave him a chance to acquire more knowledge about the subject he also loved, physics. This led to some of his greatest discoveries.
Perhaps something that Heisenberg is most known for is his uncertainty principle. Also known as the interdeterminacy principle, this principle states that the momentum and position of a particle cannot both be precisely determined at the same time. However, there is a relationship among the interdeterminacies in the measurements of the variables, such that delta p times delta x is greater than or equal to h divided by 4 pi, where h is Planck's constant. As the uncertainty in one variable gets closer to zero, the uncertainty in the other gets bigger. So a similar relationship occurs among any two canonically conjugate variables, for example, energy and time. Heisenberg's conclusion was that absolute causal determinism was impossible, because you have to know position and momentum as initial conditions. Although we praise him for his theory, there were people that were equally as unimpressed, and some, such as Albert Einstein, even went as far as to say that Heisenberg's theory was just unfinished.
But despite everything, Heisenberg went on just a few years later in 1932 to win the Nobel Prize in Physics. Another principle that Heisenberg helped develop was the complementary principle. Although belonging to Bohr, Heisenberg did work under him, so he gets some of the credit. The complementary principle states that the complete knowledge of a phenomenon on atomic dimensions entails a description of both wave and particle properties, relying on the experimental arrangement, behaviors of these phenomena as lights and electrons is sometimes wave-like, sometimes particle-like. So it is impossible to see the wave and particle at the same time. And this makes absolutely no sense to me. What do I know? I just present the news. I don't come up with it.
Matrix mechanics, yet another invention of Heisenberg's that would change the face of physics. At the beginning of the 1920s, a bunch of Heisenberg's fellow physicists, including Einstein, Bohr, Born, Kramers, Slater, and Heisenberg himself, were trying to resolve some of the existing problems with quantum theory. Finally, Heisenberg decided to take a break and went to this island called Helgoland and came up with matrix mechanics. Matrix mechanics were basically just a transition from classical mechanics to a new kind of mechanics that would later go on to become quantum mechanics.
Now, obviously, we know Heisenberg is a pretty smart guy. Did you know, amidst all his studies and contributions, he eventually found his wife? The two met at a concert, and her name is Isabel Schumacher. Her father was an economics professor. They wed in 1937 and had twins a year later. The two eventually had 7 kids. Wow. Now, not sure how he had time for all that. Props to him. Heisenberg also contributed to efforts in World War II.
Breaking news! We've just received reports that Werner Heisenberg died just moments ago. Cause of death is rumored to be kidney cancer. Wow, what a coincidence that we were reporting on him today. We can only hope this honors him as much as he deserves.
Agreed. I think it's safe to say that the world of physics wouldn't be the same without him. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time on P&A.